Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are here today with Patty as the co-host and Jan bringing up second base, and then we also have Andrea out in Florida. We're always envious of her, and she's there with her tank top
Look
on
at that. I
and the
love
sun
it.
shining through the window. And here we sit.
Gray,
It's supposed to be
gray.
40 to 50 below wind chills tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So, Andrea, just enjoy where you're at.
I will. I could put on a jacket if it makes you feel better.
It would. It really would, because
I want
we'd
a
like.
hat and mittens on her.
Yeah,
Forget the
snuggie
jacket,
something.
yeah.
You know, maybe you could get some of those Bernie mittens. Do you have those in Florida?
I'm sure I could find a pair.
Oh, awesome. Well, we have a jam-packed day as usual. The first segment, we're going to start off by talking about North Dakota taxes because it is huge again. We're also going to touch a little bit on the Legacy Fund, but you know, there's a couple of bills up on the Hill, and let's just get started. Jan, I'm going to just throw it right over to you.
Well, I attended the press conference earlier this week up at the Capitol to learn a little bit more about it. I can't say I'm an expert on any of it, but my understanding was that there's two, one in the House and one in the Senate.
And I think they're 1446.
1446
And?
was by Representative Magrum, and then the Senate bill, which is 2327, is by Senator Heidkamp. The first one by Magrum was proposing to take monies out of the Legacy Fund to help pay down property taxes. That's going to be controversial from start to finish because some people say don't touch the Legacy Fund. Some say you can use the interest but not the principal. Some say just leave it alone 100%. They're trying to find a way to reduce property taxes because the voters said that they didn't want to eliminate them.
Right, right.
Now, the other bill in the Senate conversely said, you know, the North Dakota State Constitution says that the state of North Dakota will pay 100% of school expenses for grades K through 12. Right now, we're not doing that. So he's proposing that we make the state stick to the Constitution, which is written, and then have that money come out of the general fund.
Sure. But, you know, I understand the Legacy Fund. There is over $7 billion in our
With a
Legacy
B.
Fund. With a B. And, you know, I guess right now there's so much up in the air about oil exploration, and oil is actually, or energy is our #2 industry in the state. It's followed by farming and ranching. Most people don't know that. So agriculture is #1, energy is #2. But if all of this is coming to an end under Biden, do you think it might be a good idea to hang on to that Legacy Fund, or do you have an opinion either way? I guess my opinion, and I'm going to put it out there, I think we should kind of hang tight, just because we don't know what the future holds, and it's very questionable with the new administration. So I'm just going to stick with that as my opinion. But what do you think?
My frustration lies in the fact that they had the press conference because they were looking to garner at least a discussion on this, because the talk on the Hill was that, you know, all of these folks are saying, nope, no chance of it passing, we're not going to talk about it, it's going to get voted down. And it's like, we need to start somewhere. You know, we pay exorbitant property taxes. If you pay your house off after you retire, you'll still never own your house because you're still obligated with those taxes. If those taxes don't get paid, they can still come take your house from you.
Isn't that crazy? So much for a free country, right?
Well, and I mean, property tax is a regressive tax, so it doesn't matter what your income is, if the and it always goes up.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily, because you could, even when you lose value in your property, taxes tend to stay at the same rate. So more than likely, it's going to just keep going up and up and up. And so if you are on a fixed income and you do own your house, too bad when it comes to taxes, because they will continue to increase. You will still need to pay on those. And what bothers me, and I think we're going to do a show on this in the future, is that even we did get property tax relief for a couple years, then it was taken away because we had a chance to vote on getting rid of our property taxes, right, Jan? You were just you just brought that up, and the voters voted it down, but we were promised property tax relief, which we did get for a couple of years, but then it went away. But even if you get property tax relief, there are still special tax assessments on properties. And I feel like we're hit with those on a regular basis. They can be as much as $15,000 to fix things that everybody's using. It could be the road in front of your house, it could be the sidewalk, it could be the street light. And
Sewer.
right, and so the things, there's certain things that are not covered, like sewerage. And we pay a water bill, we pay a lot of extras. So it doesn't seem like we can crawl out from under this regardless. So there's a whole other aspect that maybe needs to be another conversation, but it's so connected, is keeping those costs down. And we actually have 2,685 local government units. Now that counts counties, townships, municipalities, towns, special districts. And so we tend to grow, governments grow, bureaucracies grow, but maybe we need to start to look at how can we reduce our costs? Why wait until we have to draw on the legacy fund? Aren't there ways like reducing government? I know it's tough and nobody wants to lose their jobs, but we just keep growing and it costs money to do that.
Well, we don't need a committee for everything.
Right.
Right? Isn't that the truth? Andrea, why don't you give us your opinion all the way from Florida?
Well, I am a North Dakota property taxpayer, by the way.
That's true. And Florida. I'm guessing they're double
both,
dipping
yes.
with you.
Yes, I get hit twice with that deal. But back to your original question, Mary, which was, can we or should we use the legacy fund at this time? It's not necessarily for this issue, but at this time. And I do think that with the decline in revenue across the state revenue streams, it is an interesting question because we don't know how much we're going to keep getting from those existing revenue sources, or if we're going to need to diversify, or we're probably just going to have to cut back. Like, how do you keep spending if you don't know that you're going to keep making what you've been making? So then what do we do with the legacy fund, which is this savings account, or actually investment account, several investment accounts that we're using? Do we use that or not yet? And I feel like it's still a not yet. Like, this doesn't feel like an emergency to me.
I agree with you 100%, and that's kind of where I'm setting too. And again, because of the unknowns in the future, we don't know what could happen. What are we going to need it for? Are there going to be more lockdowns for another year? With this second wave of virus coming along with the mutated virus, is it going to be 2, 3, 4 years? We don't know. Our business is going to keep going under. Are people going to need it? There's just so many unknowns, and maybe I'm thinking out too far, but I just think leave well enough alone and let's do some cuts. I know people. I mean, we all know people that when they have a budget, it's like you got to spend the whole budget or else you don't get it next year. And it's like, how about everybody just try to cut back? And I'm not saying 25%, that would be great, but just cut back 5% this year. Maybe cut back 10% next year. Just a little bit at a time adds up.
But nobody's going to do that unless they have to. And so if we consolidate and somebody from the outside has to come and force those cuts, because you're right. And I learned that I have a master's in public administration. You got to spend your money or you lose it next year. So we waste a lot of money.
I think we just follow the Constitution and that should do it.
Right, and here is the chart for the Legacy Fund. Total lifetime deposits right at $6 million. But we got a lot more to talk about after this break, right after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, where you get real news from real people, and we all pay real taxes.
Wow, oh yeah.
Right?
Big time.
How was that? Anyway, we were talking a little bit during the break about the taxes, and Jan, you were up there and you heard the differences between the two bills, and I know, Andrea, you touched on it a little bit too. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about the two different bills?
Well, the Senate bill, which was drafted in part by Senator Heidkamp, was talking about how he would use general fund monies to pay down the school portion of your property taxes, which is the highest chunk of the bill, because the North Dakota State Constitution calls for the state to provide free education to children K through 12, and I think that there is some secondary education stuff in there as well. But if our Constitution calls for it, my question would be, why aren't we doing it? That would reduce our property taxes some 50%, where the House bill, in my understanding anyways, would be taking a portion of the legacy funds to buy it down approximately 40%. So it's close, a 10% difference as far as how much we'd save. But if my property taxes were only half as much, then I would have those extra dollars to go invest into the community. Everything is cyclical. You know, if you get more money from one area, you spend it in another area, and you're hopefully supporting your own communities by doing so. If it goes back into the community, it's all in the same bucket.
Right. And then we're all winning.
Yeah,
and
we're following the Constitution. What's bad about that?
Absolutely.
We should be held to it.
And I know that you've been to some different sessions or some different clinics, I guess I don't know what to call it, but talking about the Constitution as of late. This past winter, there's been some programs in town educating people about our state Constitution.
Absolutely. Another great guest idea.
Okay. So, Andrea, did you want to touch a little bit more on the two bills?
Well, I thank Jan for summarizing them, since they're a little lengthy for sure. I do prefer the House one just because it is shorter. I do think we have, I think it's great we have a rule in the North Dakota legislature that your bills have to be germane, so they have to be about one topic. You can't have a huge omnibus bill that covers all kinds of different pieces, and this piece for this section, this piece for that person, and this piece to make that person happy, so you can put a bill together that people will vote for. We don't do that here. You get one topic for your bill. That's what you can have it on. So even though the Senate one is a little longer than I like, it is all still one topic. So I appreciate that.
Great. And we just want to tell our viewers, if you want to call us, we have a new number just for a talk line. You can give us a call. Let us know what your opinion is. The number is 701-450-1431. So give us a call and let us know what you think about it, and we can get some information on the air just to kind of see where the general public kind of falls in on that. But I know they were also talking about different organizations being able to take out a loan on the legacy fund, but it's like you still have to pay money back. I mean, that's the one thing about a loan. A loan is temporary. You have to pay that money back. So if they don't have the money now to pay for something, what makes them think it's going to be able to be paid back in another few years? I mean, that's always a risk, especially if our economy is going backwards. It's just kind of a tough call. And is that what the legacy fund is for?
Well, I don't know. I thought the legacy fund was for emergencies. A worldwide pandemic, that's not an emergency. We're all in a financial crisis because of this virus. And there are a lot of people that are thinking that maybe the state should just cut back in some places.
Sure.
And
okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we also want to touch a little bit about, when we talk about taxes and money coming into the state. We all have heard that Biden is going to go ahead and cut oil exploration, except on tribal land. So it's going to be okay for tribal land to go ahead and continue. I guess 80% of their income comes from the oil industry. Well, so does a big portion of other North Dakotans, and we're all North Dakotans. And they talk about the sovereign nation versus the United States of America, I guess. And I know it goes deep, and it's for a whole nother subject, but you can't have it both ways. You can't be a sovereign nation and have the benefit of doing, you just can't have it both ways. But I mean, because we're all going to be missing out on oil exploration if that's the route it's going to, and it looks like it is going to happen. But I guess the Utes really had trouble with that over in Utah. And then our own tribe, the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara, just north of here. But I feel so bad because I have a lot of friends that live down on Standing Rock, and they don't get to share in part of that. So there's that sovereign nation up there that doesn't share it with this sovereign nation down here. And so there's just what's fair for people in general. We're all Americans, and that's where we're at with that. But I guess things are going to change, and I can't say that enough.
Well, like you said, we're all North Dakotans. And I guess the tribes are not the only peoples that are going to suffer from this shutdown. I mean, we have industries all over the state that are dependent on energy in one form or fashion. It's not just oil, there's coal. The electricity that we send to other states with the powers that we have in our state are phenomenal. If North Dakota would shut its borders and shut its door and shut off the power, there's a lot of states that are not too far from here that would be hurting.
And I know the fear is that we're going to become more dependent on other countries now. Is that what we want? And
no thanks.
People will lose their jobs, and we are a United States. I understand there's different things going on with the reservation. I get it. But is Biden everybody's president, or is he not equally, I just think this is something that's so loaded with problems, and it's going to cause a lot of division and resentment, and a lot of people are going to suffer. And when some people suffer and the other people don't,
but equity, not equality,
then it causes animosity, which I don't like to see.
We're going to let you jump in here real quick, Andrea. We have about a minute and a half left.
Yeah, so when I was looking at the question for the tribal lands with the oil issue, I thought that it was more a question whether the oil that's being drilled on public lands within the reservations would be treated the same way federal public lands are versus trust lands. So if they own it, if it's the tribe's public land, isn't that theirs within a trust, not federal lands?
You know, maybe we're going to have to get someone on just to clear this up, because there is a lot of questions that surround it. Because I know they had talked about, well, I know the MHA, they get 80% of everything, you know, oil related, basically pretty much runs the tribe, which is awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. But without any new drill, or they get to do new drills, but we don't. And here's a little quote from one of the papers. The approval process for oil and gas activity does not apply to tribal land and individual trust lands. And that was from the Interior spokesman, Tyler Sherry. The order, which strips the Interior Department agencies and the bureaus of the authority to issue drilling leases and permits, appeared to be a first step in delivering on Biden's campaign pledge to ban new drilling on federal acreage permanently.
Permanently.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
but
anyway,
are tribal lands federal lands, or are tribal lands tribal lands?
I guess we're going to have to clear that up, and that's a great question. And we're going to have to take a break for now, though. We'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
Everybody needs an off-season, but our announcers have a tough time slowing down.
Hey, do you mind if I practice a little bit? Right, I'm really big man.
Johnson holds, shoots, he scores!
Incredible! For the second time today, Brent has jammed the printer.
Lowry's third caramel roll of the day. That's a bold move.
And he drains one. Blind squirrel finds a nut. And back to normal.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And we just wanted to clear a couple things up. We want the tribe to be able to continue to drill, just like anybody else. We want our state to be able to continue to drill. We were just pointing out that there was a difference, and the difference is the sovereign nation versus United States of America, and where does that all come into play? So 100% we are behind drilling. We think we should open up more drills for that matter. But we're going to move on because there's a really hot topic up on the Hill right now. There is a bill that has never been introduced into North Dakota before, and it's regarding physician-assisted suicide or euthanasia. And I want to first pop up the definition of euthanasia. The definition is the act or practice of killing or permitting the death. And then this is ironic. They put in hopelessly sick or injured individuals, such as person or domestic animals, in a relatively painless way for reasons of mercy. Now, all right, I think it's God's will. It is God's plan. He knows the day we were born, the day that we're going out. And of course, we do have to take some preventative measures and whatnot. However, I think this is a horrible bill. And I guess we can talk about the reasons why.
I think it's the difference between the sanctity of life and quality of life. And it depends, I guess, if you're a believer or not. If you're a believer, then your body is God's temple, and the day of your birth and the day of your death are not of your choosing. Just like those of us that believe think that abortion is murder, this would need to fall under those circumstances, but there's some super big gray areas with this, I think. You know, they have 4 different definitions for this. Active versus passive, voluntary versus non-voluntary. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but active is the doctor directly ending someone's life, and passive describes withholding or limiting of life-sustaining treatments so that the person passes more quickly. We have to decide whether the suffering of the individual is valid for a valid reason for having a doctor end the life prematurely, or if there's something in that suffering that somebody is supposed to learn from. Is it supposed to be the person that is doing the suffering, or is it supposed to be those of us that witness the suffering that are going to get the lesson, and that we don't know?
Whenever you bring up euthanasia, you talk about the slippery slope, and it's very real because wherever it's been introduced, in Belgium it was introduced in 2002, you know, Oregon started it off, in this country. And there's 2 different ways the slippery slope happens. People become more and more comfortable, more and more aggressive about suggesting it. There was a case in Oregon several years ago where the woman's insurance said, we will not pay for your cancer treatment, but we will pay for your physician-assisted suicide. It made the news. People came forward, helped to pay for her cancer treatment. That's often the way it goes. And every place where they've had assisted suicide, the numbers go up. And the other aspect of the slippery slope is that they start to expand the definition of who qualifies. So there are places now where mental illness has been used for physician-assisted suicide or euthanasia. I mean, there's just 2 different ways to do it. So, I mean, it's all euthanasia where you're deciding that you're going to make your decision on when you're going to die. And people forget that, you know, a lot of anybody who's been with a loved ones towards the end of their lives, they realize it's a real sacred time, and there's a lot that happens there. There's forgiveness, there's reunifications between family members, there's things that you left undone. To panic and say, I don't want to suffer, and kill yourself, you are forgetting that there's a whole process in life, and every single bit of it is important.
Absolutely.
Andrea, do you want to just jump in here and let us know what your thoughts are?
Oh, I've got a few.
I knew you would.
So I think that it's a really hard question because Patty mentioned the slippery slope, and it's certainly a concern. Like when do they make decisions for you on your behalf? Who's responsible for that? You had said voluntary versus involuntary. Well, now I'm concerned. Why would there ever be an involuntary euthanasia? But also at the same time, we've got people who are on life support. Well, life support we couldn't do the things that we can do now. 50 years ago, 20 years ago. So are we, as we are unnaturally extending life, are we also playing with that same problem?
I can see that, you know, because I do know people that have been on life support for years with no hope of ever getting off. So I do see that. So where do we draw the line?
No, going off of life support though isn't euthanasia.
Correct.
You can go off of life support because that's extraordinary means.
Okay.
Euthanasia is when you actively end your life.
Okay, like take the pill or a shot
Right,
or
you
something.
do something to end your life. And what is often happening, there's going to be more and more incentive because we have a growing elderly population. The population isn't replacing itself. So more and more people are going, you know, this is kind of expensive. And, you know, my father-in-law had a urinary tract infection, and the doctor said, do you want to just give him comfort care? I'm like, no, give him an antibiotic. That's what he needs. And then he got better. So you start to devalue life. And a lot of these senior citizens that are old and alone, and they don't have, maybe they never had family or their family's not around, they become very lonely. And a lot of the people around them, sad to say, are like, sure, Dad, I think this is a good decision. And in reality, maybe they just want to know that somebody's going to be taking care of them. And they're afraid. I've done a few articles on hospice and people, end of life. A lot of people are afraid of being a burden. And so they might decide, you know what, maybe it's better I just die.
When researching this, I found that there's usually controversy in 4 major categories. Obviously, morality and religion, because some believe it's murder. And some think it weakens the definition or the sanctity of life. The other one would be physician judgment, because you need to have at least, in this bill, you need to have at least 2 physicians say that things are never going to get better, that you are terminal, and they have to decide if you are fit to make the decision to want to end your life. And I'm not sure how you decide who's fit and who's not, because obviously if you're terminal, you're going to be super depressed and you're going to be all bummed out about, you know, maybe it would just be easier to be gone, and the burdensome thing that Patty was talking about. The next one is ethics. Maybe doctors believe it goes against many doctors believe it goes against their Hippocratic oath to do no harm. You know, how do you reconcile that? And then personal choice of death with dignity. That's an actual movement in the United States. So like you talked about the slippery slope, it's right there in plain view.
What is dignity? Killing yourself is dignity. Who's fit to make the decision?
Exactly.
God is. He's the one who decides. And nowadays, you can have comfort care. You can have painkillers. And what is our value of life? How productive you are? Are you useful? Then pretty soon, the minute you're not useful, your life have no value. Life has value simply because it exists.
You know, we are going to have Representative Kathy Skro on Friday, hopefully, fingers crossed. She, it depends on the weather and her committee work, whether she's going to be able to make it. Anyway, she was supposed to be on today to help us with some of this or help us wade through this. Very passionate about it, and hopefully she'll be here on Friday. But again, it's just, it is a very slippery slope, and I put everything into God's hands. And then when you think of so many people that don't have a religion to rely upon, that's the part where, but we have to help save those people too. Andrea,
clarification.
Go ahead.
For Andrea, clarification, non-voluntary, that is when you are comatose or non-responsive on the machines. Okay. And somebody has to make the decision for you.
Got it. Thanks, Jan.
Yeah.
See, that's just it. And that's why we're called Ladies of Another View, because all 4 of us are sitting here and we all have a little bit different view on this and a different understanding to get us to that view. And that's why if you guys have any questions, just reach out to us with that phone number and we'll go ahead and get your questions on the air, hopefully on Friday. But we'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on VAC.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We just wanted to clear up a little bit. We always talk in between segments, and we wanted to point out that nobody really heard about this euthanasia bill. It's the first time I had heard about it was yesterday. And Jan, go ahead and tell us.
When you're doing something over here that everybody's looking at, they slide something in down here that they don't want the controversy on. And it happens on a national level, and it's happening in our state too. That's why it's a really good idea to go to legis.nd.gov and watch what's going on. You can watch the proceedings at the Capitol, and you can read all of the bills and find out who sponsored them.
Absolutely, and then call your legislators. Just it doesn't. That's we hired them. That's what they're there for. Just give them a call, email them, text them, however. But just reach out to them if you have an opinion on anything. Nothing too big or too small. Just your opinion is very important.
They're very responsive too, and I really would encourage everybody to weigh in on the euthanasia bill because we couldn't find any coverage of it. I'm surprised the media hasn't covered it, unless I missed something.
Yeah,
I guess we're first, right?
So we're gonna hop along to this next one because if you you might want to sit down for this one because it's gonna make your blood boil.
Down.
You know, you might want to lay down for this one.
Take an aspirin
This
first.
is a gal. Her name is Kathy Aru. She was a Fox contributor. They always called her when they had something that was way out left. And she's not on anymore for some various reasons. However, we want you to take a look at this. She tries to explain to Tucker how we should have babies, not babies with a B, babies with a TH, and let a child choose its own sex when they get to be about 4 years old. Take a look at this.
Doesn't this mean if you're going to raise a baby, how would you be able to change your child's diaper? Because the second you change the diaper, of course, you'd no longer be able to pretend that there was a question about whether this was a boy or a girl, you would know.
Well, it's not about pretending. The parent definitely knows the gender. It's about not necessarily labeling the baby. It's about allowing the baby to decide what gender that baby wants to be when that baby can decide, which is around 4 years old. So from 0 to 4, the baby will not be labeled. The labeling theory will not apply from 0 to 4 years old. The baby will be a they be, neither a boy nor a girl. Whatever gender that baby chooses to be.
What other profound life decisions do we think people ought to be making at the age of 4? Are there any others?
Well,
whether to get a tattoo, whether to get married, enlisting in the military, voting, drinking vodka, smoking Marlboro Reds. Is there anything else that we think 4-year-olds are ready to decide?
This isn't actually a profound life decision. I mean, biologically, there's nothing really going on from 0 to 4 in that area that affects a person's life. Biologically, the experts say that boys and girls, all genders are alike. The boy's brain, the male brain, might be a little larger. The female's language might be a little bit more advanced.
Okay. No sexism on my show. Hold on. Whoa, slow down. No, here you're out there like
they say maybe
boys' brains are larger. And I just want to say that kind of toxic masculinity has no place on this program. Thank you very much.
But that's all.
Well, and I just love how Tucker tries to eat her up. You know, it's like, should they be, you know, drinking vodka, smoking Marlboro Reds? I mean, what other decisions do you let a 4-year-old make? And it's a true story. I was out one night, and this was last fall, and we were at a steakhouse over in Mandan, and I overheard this gal and this guy speaking. This guy was kind of trying to pick up on her, and anyway, she had said, yeah, I have a child, and he goes, oh, a boy or a girl? And she goes, they haven't decided yet. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I mean, and this is in Mandan, North Dakota, right?
Please.
So it's like, it's just that generation. I'm just not getting it.
Nope. This is just absurdity to the max to me. Just like you said, you open the diaper, you take a look, you figure it out. And a child develops, the most developing of its entire life between 0 and 5 years old. So this 4-year-old making life decisions is total absurdity. It's not even on the map for me, man. It's just
who doesn't believe in the science here,
right?
It's
science. It's only
it's
science
nature.
when they want to believe.
Oh my
Well,
God.
when they need to convince you to do something else, like triple mask or whatever.
You know, back in the day, somebody would have been locked up if they talked like that.
Yes.
For over 2,000 for all of humanity, all of human history, nobody has ever acted like this or thought like this. This is insane. It's dangerous. I think it's going to cause mental illness in the children. They don't have any identity. You know, little kids, I had a few, and I've been around a few. I've got grandkids.
10 to be exact.
They innately, they do know boys and girls. Yeah, there's some, you know, it's not all male and female, but you put a room of little boys together, I think it's hilarious. They start wrestling. They don't even know each other, and they start wrestling. We're little girls, and there are differences, but they need to know who they are. That's bizarre. Let them decide at 4 years old.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to make a great decision.
Yeah, Andrea, you have a house full of kids. Do they know what they are? Please
Yeah, they
tell
definitely know what they are.
I knew
But they didn't
would.
need me to tell them, or not
There
tell
you
them.
go.
Goodness gracious. No, they had it figured out. So that whole clip, Tucker Carlson's face made me think of you, Jan. He's just got this puzzled, like, how can you actually be saying these things with a straight face? It's absolute insanity. No.
Exactly.
Well, see, nowadays that thought process is celebrated. It's like, oh my gosh, that is just so great. You know, you're thinking of you let them have a choice. It's great. You know, and here's what I struggle with. You know, I missed the show you guys had on transgenderism on Monday, and it's like, why do we have to drop everything for a teeny weeny tiny group of people that don't understand, or maybe they have a mental illness or something? You know, why does the rest of the world have to change for such a small group?
Squeaky wheel. They make the most noise. They get the most attention. They don't shut up until they get their way, and that's what we need to do.
And girls have to lose college scholarships. People need to lose that otherwise would have been champions, first and second place winners in their sport. We all have to suffer, and there is it's crazy.
Well,
I
even
don't
like
know.
Pelosi now, there was a whole list, and I had it printed off. I didn't bring it today, but all of the words that you can't use mother, father, brother, sister, he, she, everything has to be a
Grandmother,
they or an
grandfather,
it, or it's, I think they pronounce it Z, Z-H-E or something. There's a whole new
they.
set of pronouns that we're supposed to use to identify people. And it's like, I don't understand why the majority has to cave in to the idiocy of some of these far, far left thought processes. I just don't get it.
And you
it's
can
like they're
lose your
celebrated.
job if you don't. We had that college professor on who used to be Marxist, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy," because they all turned on him. You will lose your job if you don't use the gender of somebody's choice.
And out in California, they're starting to teach third graders these whole class pods on gender and gender identity, and here's how you choose, and what kind of party would you like to have, gender reveal party when you turn fourth grader, and we need to talk about your level of privilege. Are you white privilege supremacist, whatever? And it's like
because you don't agree that a person is a boy or a girl.
Well, luckily the parents in that community got together and stormed the principal's office and demanded that this teacher knock it off. I don't know if the teacher lost the job or was reprimanded, but if we don't get vocal about this,
well, and right
it'll
here,
happen.
and this is kind of on the subject, off the subject, but I have a daughter that goes over to NDSU, and she was taking some kind of social science class, and if she took this class, she got a female gender study class for free. She didn't have to pay for it. And it's like, it's indoctrination is what it is. They know no one's going to pay for that class in North Dakota, but by golly, we're going to give it to you for free. And what kid doesn't want 4 extra credits? When you're graduating at the cost of university nowadays, who wouldn't want to get 4 more credits to graduate?
That's bribery.
It really is.
Terrible.
I just think when kids still believe in Santa Claus, and these are the ones who are going to decide what sex they are. They might see a sparkly rock or something pink and go, I'm going to be a girl today. I suppose you could be a boy one day and a girl another day. And
these are the people that are going to be taking care of us when we're in the nursing home. These are the people that are going to be making decisions for us. And that's the scary part. I guess when I'm in the nursing home, I want people to know I'm a lady. Please treat me as such. Truly. But I have a feeling this isn't going away anytime soon. But we're going to come right back after this with the lighter side on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make 1 call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Rush hour traffic in North Dakota? It's almost unheard of, Noah.
I'm speechless. It's something you just don't see around here, especially at this hour of the day.
Brian, can you say anything from your perspective?
Guys, I can. All this traffic is because some doofus drove off the road.
Doofus? Well, let's hope you can help him out of there. No. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
All right, great job.
Yeah, that went very well.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative BRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. This is a fun little lighter side story. Okay, so it's kind of ironic because this friend of ours, and I can say ours because her name is Lisa Pulker-Beck, and she knows absolutely all 7 of us. And all 7 of us did not know each other the day before we sat down in a conference room down the hall. But Lisa knows all of us, and she had a little trouble. Pull up this picture of this cat, please. I saw this on Facebook, and it says, missing our favorite adorable fluffy female cat. She may have secretly hitched a ride in the engine of our vehicle to Mandan High School or in the Bill Barth Ford area about 2 days ago. Please message me if you have seen her anywhere in Mandan or on Highway 6. We really want her back. Thank you. And so this is what social media and Facebook is for. It's for cat stories. It's turned into kind of a political nightmare. But anyway, so a couple days later, there's another story on Facebook, and it says, anyone missing a cat? It was waiting by a door when my daughter got home and wanted it in the house, so I'm assuming it belongs to someone. He, she, which they don't know much about calicos, by the way. Every calico is a female. See that you learned something today. If nothing else, you know that every calico is a female. She is now warm and has food and water. Please private message me if you are looking for this cat. And then someone went ahead and said, hey, someone was looking for a cat on Facebook. So I want to show you her thank you note. It says, thanks to Facebook and all of you who helped share my post. The cat mystery is solved. Coco hitched a ride in the engine of a car with Allie to Mandan High School, where she must have gotten out and walked around the parking lot and then hopped back up into another kid's car and drove home to Bismarck, where that kid lives. And through Facebook, we hooked up with the mother who posted a found cat. Now the son is bringing the cat to school tomorrow, or tomorrow morning, so we can get her home. So that cat had quite the little trail, and if it could just talk. I mean, you know, I grew up on a farm, so we always had cats up in the engines. It happened all the time. We never lost a cat that way, but I chased a cat down in McDonald's parking lot on my way to the chiropractor one day. And I said, gosh, I got this cat in my car. It's like, you know, he wanted to know if I was staying in town. I said, no, I got to take this cat home. He goes, well, I could use a cat. And so my chiropractor took this cat. I ran back to the high school. I got a box, and I had, anyway, so it does happen. But isn't that just a charming story? And isn't it just so like Lisa to have something like that happen to her?
Absolutely. When I saw this story, the first thing I thought of were those memes where they say, make sure and check your vehicle before you take off. And it shows a Holstein cow laying on the hood because everybody's trying to warm up. Yeah. But we've had bunnies go up on tires at our place. You know, we don't have cats anymore, but you know, any kind of animal could work its way up there, squirrels, whatever.
Yeah, this is not a safe way to travel, so check and make sure you don't have anybody hitchhiking.
Right. Do not try this.
That cat had to have used up some of its 9 lives, don't you think?
We have a cat story. We had a cat that had kittens, and her cats were nice and plump and fat, but she was very thin, probably from nursing them all. And we had taken her collar off when she was in labor. My son thought she would be more comfortable. And the cats, and we didn't put it back on. So she was outside. She went outside, and she never came back. And we thought, okay, either she went somewhere and died because she seemed so thin, and I was waiting for her to get done nursing her kittens, and I was going to take her in, or I thought somebody picked her up on, we live on a walking trail. So then all of a sudden, a year later, we see somebody has posted in the Lost and Found, because I think she left somebody else's house and was found. We went and looked, and it was our cat. And I started putting dog collars on her because she always would get those breakaway collars. She always gets them off.
Sure.
So anyways, a year later, our cat came back.
That's interesting.
The internet is for cat names.
That's exactly what it's for. You know, and I just think of this cat, you know, went all the way to Mandan High School, hitched a ride into another vehicle to Bismarck, comes back to school the next day. It's just, we could write a kid's book on that. But
look at how relaxed it was sitting on that lap.
It's not here in the world.
It's such a cat thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Dogs would be all upset and, you know, looking all over.
Sure.
Well, but you know, when you think about it, you were saying, Andrea, that it's like there's Lolcat that taught us really weird grammar. There's Grumpy Cat that was just stellar for memes. You know, it's still used.
Right.
And somebody made a ton of money off of
They
that.
sure did. So now we come to our final thoughts. We each take about 30 seconds. What I want to share today is, well, we farm and ranch. Most of you know that. We sold our calves today. So I'm sitting at the sale barn and over at Kiss Livestock. And all of a sudden, you know, well, they have these new electronic ads. And on the one electronic ad, it has Beck Watch. And I didn't get this photo over here quick enough. But anyway, they have farm and calving barn surveillance. And so if you need to get Barn Watch, go ahead and call. It's 475-2361. So I know Beck is really getting into a lot of households right now with the fiber optics and whatnot. TV, phone, you name it, they have it. And I had no idea, and I've been working here now for a few months, I had no idea that they have Cattle Watch. And so I'm looking forward to doing something like that.
Do they have Cat Watch?
Maybe we need Cat Watch.
That's what we need.
Go ahead, you guys.
I would say, hey, come join us on Facebook, Ladies of Another View. We're having a lot of fun, a lot of conversation, you know, just a lot of activities, so come join us.
Answer
Andrea,
the questions.
you got about 30 seconds.
Great cats. There are a lot of great cat photos on Cats of Instagram. My cat is actually on there.
Awesome. Oh, we'll have to take a peek at that. But yeah, we're wrapping up right now, but just join us. If you have a question, just put it on Facebook. We're going to start some contests next week. Give us a call if you have anything that you want to talk about. If you good, bad, indifferent, something we can do, but just let us know what it is. Next time on Ladies of Another View on Beck, we'll have other things to talk about. Thank you for joining us.